Welcome back to The Art of Alignment, where we go through the book The Art of War and how I use military strategies from the book to go about assisting me in my healing process. This episode is about chapter 6, and chapter 6 is called Weak Points and Strong. From my perspective, I call this presence, mastering stillness, strategy, and spiritual camouflage. So let's talk presence, because this chapter is not about brute strength. It's about moving in wisdom and about knowing when to act and when not to act. Presence isn't just about protecting your peace. It makes you untouchable. And with that being said, there are 7 points that I took away from this chapter that I feel like were extremely vital to the topic around presence. So the first one is be first in frequency, not just in action. Sun Tzu said, whoever is first in the field and awaits the coming of the enemy will be fresh for the fight. Now this is different because presence precedes power. When you ground yourself first, before the noise, before the changes, before the storm, you stay charged while everything else around you arrives tired. And it just shows that you're not here to chase energy. You're here to command it. You show up early in frequency, anchored before the battle even begins. So my second point is mastery means knowing where not to fight. Another thing Sun Tzu said was appear at points which the enemy must hasten to defend. March swiftly to the places where you're not expected. From my understanding, that sounds like energetic camouflage to me. Everything doesn't need your reaction. Every conversation doesn't need your presence. You've outgrown the need to explain, to defend, to even respond. And now you move intuitively towards unguarded, unseen, and ripe situations. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom in motion. So my third point in this is power moves through stillness. Sun Tzu said, if we do not wish to fight the enemy, we can prevent the enemy from engaging us. So choosing not to fight is still a move. And you're not avoiding the fight or the battle. You're rerouting it. You're becoming undetectable by chaos, unavailable to drama, unshakable in posture. Invisibility isn't fear. It's high-level spiritual discretion. And this brings me to my fourth point. Strength in division, power in unity. Another quote I've written down by Sun Tzu was that we can form a single united body while the enemy must split into fractions. Now, what I'm taking away from that is, for me as a husband, as a father, as a creator, I can no longer be scattered. I can't afford it. My soul, my structure, my relationships, they have to be tight. My movements, they have to be unified. And while the world fragments itself, it's my opportunity to stay fortified. The fifth point I want to make on this one is discernment is the new discipline. And how I come by that is Sun Tzu made another point by saying, conceal your disposition. You will be safe from the prying of the subtlest spies. And let's be clear, you don't owe the world your blueprint. Secrecy isn't fear, it's reverence. You're mastering the art of moving in silence while your alignment is making all the noise. And there's strategy in softness, precision in privacy. And my sixth point of this is flow like water, fight like wind. Sun Tzu made a comment that military tactics are like water. Water doesn't force, it flows. It carves, it adapts. Your new rhythm should be to flow around resistance, to move low, to strike high, to stay shapeless but unstoppable. But it also tells you that you're not here to repeat what worked. you're here to recalibrate in real time. And my final point of this is waning and waxing. The sacred time rules all. My last quote from Sun Tzu for this episode is, the moon has its periods of waning and waxing. This is a season of check-in. You're not meant to be on all the time. There are seasons of resting. There are seasons of rising. There are seasons of returning. And then there's sometimes the most powerful move is stillness. Honor that rhythm. Trust the divine tempo. I say all that to say this. You're moving past brute force and are now learning energetic efficiency. You don't need to out-talk, outperform, or outshine. You can just simply out-align. Your strength isn't in what you've conquered, but it's rather in what you can redirect. And just like water, like wind, and like the moon, you are becoming undefendable, unpredictable, and undeniable. Thank you again for you guys sitting in on another episode of Art of Alignment. This is episode 6. I like to call presence, the mastery in stillness, strategy, and spiritual camouflage. Thank you again. Peace and love.